I love visiting Disney World as much as the next person, but quite frankly, while there are many tips out there for what to do at Disney, there really aren't things on what to avoid, and that's a shame because there really should be. And this is just my personal opinion, no need to get offended. It's just I would have loved to know these don'ts before our most recent trip, so I hope to help my viewers avoid the same pitfalls we dealt with and make all your future Disney World visits as magical as they should be. So let's get started. First of all, do not feel the need to dedicate an entire day to each park. I so wish we had gotten park hopper tickets. The only park that we thought deserved a full day is the Magic Kingdom, but the rest can easily be done in half a day. Yes, park hopper tickets are more expensive, but we actually would have saved quite a bit of money in hotel stays, meals, etc. if we had consolidated our visits to the park this way. So don't be deterred by the price tag. In the long run, park hopper tickets will save you both money and time. Next, many Disney YouTubers and bloggers tell you, oh, don't stick to a strict plan, you'll feel stressed and not enjoy your visit, and that's all well and good in theory. It really makes me wonder if they even go to Disney, because you can't avoid having a strict plan these days, and no one says that. Everything must be booked in advance, every single ride, even most attractions, every sit-down restaurant. So we really didn't pack that much into each day, usually 4 to 5 rides, 2 dining reservations, not much, but yet my husband complained this doesn't feel like a vacation, because we were going from one ride to a reservation, back to a ride, on and on. Honestly, it's very hard to avoid, but my best piece of advice, try to space your rides at least 2 to 3 hours apart, and dining as well. And on that note, my next piece of advice that no one mentions. You may wonder, well, why did so little take so much time? Don't expect fast passes to eliminate lines. They will help a bit, but not nearly as much as you expect them to. On average, we waited with FastPass reservations, mind you, about 30 to 35 minutes per ride. Now, without them, most of the waits were the better part of an hour. So yes, they do help. They are a must. But you'll still be doing quite a bit of waiting in line regardless, which is why I suggested to space hours between each. We did, and it made a huge difference. We were annoyed, but not stressed. I was shocked at how many parents I saw literally dragging their exhausted children from one ride to the next, and I swear we saw children actually crying and telling their parents they didn't want to keep going on rides. We couldn't believe it. Not what Disney is supposed to be at all. Don't go during the Christmas holidays. Make no mistake, this is the busiest time at Disney World, even more so than the height of the summer. And yeah, there are many wonderful holiday-themed parades and decorations that make Disney even more magical, but all of that will be overshadowed by the crazy crowds and throngs of people. You know, maybe visit one time at Christmas just to get the experience, but try to make your visits between January and the beginning of May, with the exception of spring break times, of course. We most recently went the beginning of May, and the crowds were pretty manageable for the most part. Now let's talk about dining. There are entire channels dedicated to Disney World dining, and we found them to not be remotely helpful when we got there. First of all, we didn't have any issues with reservations since we did them well in advance. Everyone knows to do that. What they don't emphasize, though, is just how expensive dining in the park can be. We're pretty careful about what we eat, so we didn't want to do the quick service places, but as a result, we were spending the better part of $300 a day, which is insane. We spent more on dining than on the actual Disney experience, which is so wrong. And on top of that, the food is very mediocre at almost every restaurant. Honestly, the only one that I thought was worth the splurge was Be Our Guest, which does live up to the hype with its great theming. It's an experience in itself, and the food's not bad, albeit expensive. But the rest of the dining, not worth it, not even close. Something very underrated about Disney World is that you can bring your own food in. I mean, how many public places let you do that anymore? So try to do that as much as possible for the earlier meals, and for dinner, try to eat off-site, which is one of the advantages of staying at a Disney resort. You can go back to your room and eat and save quite a bit. And on that note, let's talk the best time of day for the parks and when to escape to your room. I was shocked by how many articles we read and videos we watched that all said, get to the parks an hour before they open. People will be waiting shoulder to shoulder to fall in the gates, blah, blah, blah. Not true at all, at any of the parks. We did get there right at opening for all of them, and it took maybe 5 minutes to get through security and inside. Like, no stress at all. And here's the biggest piece of advice which no one mentions, and that really bothered us. We were shocked at how dead the parks were in the morning. I mean, almost empty. You can easily get 3 Fast Pass rides in the morning as we did, and everyone seems to show up at the parks between 11 a.m. and noon. That's when they get very overcrowded, people walking at you and pushing, etc. So, we would leave between 1 and 6 p.m., go back to our room, eat, rest, and come back for the evening Fast Passes like Pandora. It was great. We were much happier and in better moods than everyone around us. I can't recommend it enough. And it's also surprising how much the crowds thin out at night. Not quite as sparse as the morning, but still not bad at all. So I can't recommend that midday escape enough. Don't assume every ride is kid-friendly just because it's Disney World. Another pretty surprising thing we witnessed was how many children cried and asked to be taken off rides or backed out as soon as they approached the ride. And of course, the age minimum requirements are a suggestion more than an absolute. Every child is different, so make sure before you book your Fast Passes, show a video and explain the rides to small children so you won't waste Fast Passes, which happens all too often. And finally, the biggest tip of all, which I've alluded to throughout the video, don't assume quote-unquote expert research is accurate. Every supposed Disney expert says to do a ton of research before your visit, and while that's true, I mean, you really can't visit without researching the best rides to Fast Pass, the best times of day to make your reservations, etc., as we said. But there honestly wasn't anything we found helpful in either Disney articles or videos here on YouTube, and that's the truth. Either they steer you wrong as we were with pretty much everything, or as I found most often, everyone just repeats the same generic, beyond obvious suggestions and generalizations like, make sure you take time to rest, wear comfortable shoes. Yeah, duh, that's common sense. Where's the specifics like times of day, year, park hopper tickets are the best way to go? All those things that we had to learn the hard way. Which brings me to my conclusion. The best research you can do is like what we did. Visit and see what works and what doesn't. The rest is just unreliable. But fortunately, it only takes one visit to really understand and get a grasp on the best way to go about any future visits. So there you have it. People will probably dislike how brutally honest this video was. You can't say anything negative about Disney World, as we also discovered while we were there. But I really wish there were more honest videos like this, so visitors can be better prepared and know what they're getting into, rather than creators trying to score views and sponsorships and pretend like everything is magical and idyllic. But I really do enjoy Disney World very much. You just have to know how to navigate it. A big thank you to every single one of our subscribers. We really appreciate you and hope to see you in our next one. Bye, guys!